The Empress was a woman who had traveled through time. After giving birth to a son, she decisively returned to her original world. The Crown Prince would not stop crying, so the Emperor had no choice but to place him under my care. From then on, I devoted myself to raising him, teaching him how to balance the power of the court officials, and eliminating the son of the Imperial Consort on his behalf, until I finally helped him ascend the throne. Unexpectedly, the Empress returned, fearing I would compete with the time traveler for the position of Empress Dowager. He framed me for an affair with a guard and had me stripped naked and paraded through the streets on charges of debauchery in the harem. Amidst the barrage of insults, I bit my tongue and took my own life. After being reborn, looking at the Crown Prince, who was crying so hard he seemed on the verge of death, I let out a cold laugh. Your own mother doesn't want you anymore. Cry one more time, and I'll rip out your tongue. He panicked instantly. Main text. I want my mother. Give my mother back to me. The heart-wrenching cries of a young boy reached my ears, snapping me back to reality. When I saw 4-year-old Emoyan sitting on the ground, kicking his legs in frustration, his little face red with tears, I finally realized I had been reborn. Crown Prince, please don't disturb Her Majesty. I've made you a tiger head pillow. Would you like to see it? You little brat. Get lost. Emoyan flew into a tantrum and reached out to scratch Chuanshi's face. Chuanshi couldn't dodge in time, and a bloody scratch appeared on her cheek. Tears welled in her eyes, and though she felt wronged, she continued to try to please him. If you don't like the tiger head pillow, I also have a 9-ring puzzle. Your Highness is so clever, I am sure you can solve it. Chuanshi reached out to pick up Emoyun, but he opened his mouth and bit down hard on her wrist. Enough. I slammed my hand down on the table. Emoyun trembled in fright, lifting his head to cautiously gauge my expression. Seeing me glaring at him, he let out a wail and began crying again. The Empress has been gone for a year now. Don't you understand? She doesn't want you anymore. If you dare cry one more time, I'll have your tongue cut out. His crying stopped abruptly. After a moment of stunned silence, he shouted at me. You liar. I don't believe you. My mother would never abandon me. Emoyan wiped his tears and ran out. Chuanshi was about to chase after him when I stopped her with a sharp rebuke. Your Majesty, the Crown Prince is still young. He'll come around eventually. Please don't take it out on him. Ever since the Empress left, Emoyan had been throwing tantrums several times a day. In my previous life, I tried every trick in the book to console him, presenting him with all sorts of fun things, but he wouldn't even look at them, just kept crying out for his mother. I had no choice but to lie to him. The Empress had no choice. She had her own reasons for needing to leave for a while. You must be more understanding. Once you've grown up and become emperor, Her Majesty may return. From then on, he finally stopped crying and throwing tantrums, obeying my every command. I pitied him for not having his birth mother by his side. So day after day, I cared for him with the utmost devotion. Gradually, Emoyan stopped mentioning the Empress, and his address for me changed from consort wrong to mother consort. He was respectful and dutiful, treating me as if I were his own mother. The Emperor, recognizing that while I had no official merits, I had certainly endured hardships, bestowed upon me the title of Empress. To help him ascend the throne, I abandoned my peaceful, unworldly nature and actively engaged in the power struggles of the harem. I eliminated the son of the noble consort on his behalf and negotiated with the ministers, finally securing his victory in the succession struggle. But I never expected the real Empress to actually return. Upon learning this, Emoyun, now Emperor, immediately had me imprisoned in the celestial prison. Thank you for raising me. If it weren't for you, I truly wouldn't have been able to sit on this throne. His poisonous eyes glared at me with contempt. I've called you Mother Empress for all these years, CVE Major Prophet. Now that my real Mother Empress has returned, you, the imposter, can go to your death. Don't look at me like that. biding my time. Cutting off the root of the problem. You taught me all of that. He framed me for having an affair with a guard and, under the pretext of debauchery in the harem, had me stripped naked and paraded through the streets, amidst the barrage of insults. I bit my tongue and took my own life. The very tactics I taught him ultimately became the blade he used to kill me. I closed my eyes, resting my forehead on my hand in exhaustion. From today on, let him do as he pleases, even if he cries himself to death. You must not intervene. Chuanxi's hand, massaging my shoulder, paused. But what about His Majesty? I sneered inwardly. An empress who leaves without a word, abandoning her own son, can only be a stain on the imperial family. I'll see just who he can rely on in this harem without me. Mo Yun, seeing that no maidservant had come for him for quite some time, eventually returned. Looking dejected, he hadn't thrown another tantrum, but he was seething inside. By dinner time, the maidservant in charge of Mo Yun reported, "Your Highness, the crown prince refuses to eat no matter what. He even knocked the food all over the floor." I finished my meal at a leisurely pace. Only after Chuanxi had helped me rinse my mouth did I say slowly, "Let's go take a look. Crown Prince, please eat at least a little, otherwise you won't be able to sleep tonight." Mo Yun sat in his chair, swinging his feet. The young maid knelt before him, yet she was still half a head taller than him. "I won't eat. Starve me to death. Let's see how you explain this to father." A mischievous grin spread across his face, and malice surged unchecked in his eyes. "If he won't eat, clear everything away." The young maid hurriedly knelt to bow before me, but Mo Yun grabbed the chopsticks from the table and hurled them at me. When I dodged to the side, he glared at me, his cheeks puffed with anger. "Mind your own business, you lowly whore." Chuanxi gasped in shock. "Crown Prince, who taught you to speak like that?" Mo Yun shook off her hand. "My mother said it. She alone is Father Emperor's legitimate wife. You lot are his concubines, and concubines are whores." So the Empress, who publicly advocated for equality, actually thought this way. I looked at the table full of dishes and frowned. From now on, serve only one dish per meal. If he doesn't eat it, save it for the next meal until he's willing to eat. As for you maids, only Kaiju is to remain in my service. The rest of you will follow Chuanxi's instructions. With that, I turned and walked away, ignoring Mo Yun's tantrum as he threw himself on the floor. Early the next morning, just as I had finished my ablutions, the chief eunuch by the emperor's side arrived. "Your Highness, please come with me. The emperor wishes to see you." Upon reaching the imperial study, I bowed respectfully. The emperor didn't even look up. He gave a faint reply before continuing to silently review his memorials. I tactfully stepped forward to grind the ink, already understanding the situation to some extent. After a long while, the emperor finally set down his brush. "How has Mo Yun been behaving in your palace lately?" I bit my lip, a look of distress on my face. "The crown prince hasn't been doing well recently." The emperor frowned imperceptibly, gesturing for me to continue. "For the past few days, Mo Yun hasn't eaten a single meal. He's been crying and throwing tantrums, insisting on returning to the cunning palace. She even says she wants to leave with the empress. I truly don't know what to do." My voice grew softer as I spoke. When the emperor heard me mention the empress, his expression darkened abruptly. I hurriedly knelt to beg for forgiveness. Before the empress left, she had left a letter. She said she was a conqueror, and her mission here was to win the emperor's heart. Once she became empress and gave birth to a prince, her mission was finally accomplished. She also said that it was the emperor who had first broken the vow of phone life. One love, one partner, with 3,000 women in the harem. There was no place for her to stay, so she had no choice but to return to her original world. After the empress disappeared, the emperor went mad. Not only did he turn the palace upside down, but he also issued a nationwide reward. Alas, she seemed to have vanished into thin air. Since then, the word Impress become a forbidden term known to everyone in the palace. I see he's already forgotten his own surname at such a young age. You and Grand Tutor Gua must teach him properly. If you fail, he is no longer my son. I lowered my gaze, hiding the surprise in my eyes. The emperor had actually appointed Grand Secretary Gui Shichuan as Mo Yun's grand tutor. It seemed I had underestimated his importance in the emperor's eyes. After leaving the imperial study, Chuanxi took my arm. Your Highness, is something making you happy? Since she left, the emperor has never entered the inner palace again. All these years, there has been only one prince and two princesses in the palace. I sighed. Ultimately, the emperor's favor toward Mo Yun stemmed from the fact that there were simply too few children in the palace. Let's go. Accompany me to visit the Imperial Consort in Fanghua Palace. The once glorious and graceful eldest daughter of the general of the northern frontier now resembled a dying old woman, devoid of any sign of life. What are you doing here? Have you come to see if I'm dead yet? After speaking, Imperial Consort clutched a handkerchief and began to cough. Why speak such gloomy words, Your Highness? With no one to manage the harem these past years, I have been hoping for your swift recovery. I turned my gaze to the night pearl resting on the Wangwali table. If I recall correctly, this night pearl was originally the one the emperor bestowed upon the empress. Later, when your highness became pregnant and feared the darkness at night, the emperor specifically requested it back from her. At that time, the imperial consort had become pregnant before the empress, but tragically suffered a miscarriage at 7 months. Half a year later, the empress gave birth to Mo Yun and solidified her position as empress, while the imperial consort sank into the agony of losing her child and has been in decline ever since. The woman before me was truly a master of the harem's intrigues. She keenly grasped the implication in my words. Your ladyship was perfectly healthy. She merely slipped and fell. How could she have suddenly miscarried? I held a handkerchief to my eyes, feigning tears. If that child had been born, he would be the same age as the crown prince by now. If the imperial consort and the empress had spent the first half of their lives battling each other, then the second half would be a struggle between the imperial consort and me. I had stumbled upon these secrets between them by chance in my previous life, after the imperial consort had been banished to the cold palace. Indeed, the imperial consort's miscarriage was the empress's doing. That time traveler may appear to be a delicate, unassuming flower, but in reality, she is ruthless. The imperial consort stared at me, scrutinizing every subtle expression on my face. Consort Rong, what exactly are your intentions? I smiled faintly. Your Majesty, please see clearly this servant harbors no ill will. After all, he has already abdicated of his own accord. By any measure, Your Majesty is the one who has triumphed. There was no point in saying more. I was confident she would come to understand soon enough. Following my instructions, the palace staff no longer obeyed Mo Yun unconditionally. On Grand Tutor Gua's first day of teaching, Mo Yun slept in until the sun was high in the sky. I had a young eunuch carry the still sleeping Mo Yun into the classroom. Grand Tutor Gua patiently tried to wake him, but when his morning grumpiness kicked in, he actually accused Grand Tutor Gua of insubordination and ordered the young eunuch to flog him. I played with the lark just delivered by the Imperial Household Department while listening to Kai Zhu's report. If he can't be kept in check during the first lesson, he'll be even harder to discipline in the future. Your Highness is quite right. Grand Tutor Gua struck the Crown Prince 10 times with a paddle, and the Crown Prince ran to complain to the Emperor. But the Emperor refused to see him. I set down the birdseed I was holding, and Chuanxi came forward to wash my hands. Don't worry about him. Whatever he wants to do, let him have his way. 10 days later, Grand Tutor Gua came to see me, looking utterly defeated. The Crown Prince is incorrigible, Your Highness. You must not continue to indulge him like this. I twisted my handkerchief between my fingers, my voice barely a whisper. That might be a bit difficult. You know as well as I do, Grand Tutor, that the Crown Prince is His Majesty's only son. Back then, the Emperor. When Imo was just learning to walk, he accidentally knocked over a eunuch. The Empress wept with heartbreak, and the Emperor immediately ordered the man to be beaten to death. Now, the only person in the palace who can make Imo obey is the Emperor himself. Grand Tutor slapped his thigh in exasperation. What are we to do? If this continues, the Crown Prince will never amount to anything. I sighed softly, my gaze drifting into the distance. By this age, the late Emperor already had 7 princes and 9 princesses in his harem. The Emperor now has only Imo as his sole son. His Majesty holds Imo in such high regard. I implore Grand Tutor to be more understanding. Grand Tutor fell silent for a long while after hearing this. A few days later, court officials submitted a joint petition, earnestly pleading with the Emperor to depose the Empress and resume the imperial selection ceremony, so that the imperial family might soon expand its lineage. The Emperor suppressed the matter of deposing the Empress but approved the resumption of the selection. Meanwhile, Consort finally emerged from the Palace of Fragrant Bloom. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye, and Consort had regained the Emperor's favor, her influence as strong as ever. Watching the palace made by the Consort's side summon the Emperor away once more, Imo could barely contain the hatred in his eyes. I gently stroked my hairpin, feigning nonchalance. The Consort is already a month with child. Be careful not to provoke your father's wrath. His eyes suddenly widened, and his expression grew dazed. As evening fell, just as I was about to retire for the night, Chuanxi rushed in with news. Your Highness, it's terrible. The Crown Prince pushed Consort down the stairs. She has miscarried. When I arrived at Fanghua Palace, Imo was kneeling in the courtyard as punishment, and all the consorts who had heard the news stood there, their hearts in their throats. At that moment, the conversation between Consort and the Emperor drifted out. They've harmed me like this, mother and son together. Won't your Majesty grant me justice? Imo didn't mean to do it. He was just being a bit mischievous. Suppressed sobs came from within the hall. I stepped forward and shouted at Imo. It's all your fault that the Imperial Consort lost her little prince. What good does it do to kneel here? Hurry up and go apologize to the Consort. He stiffened his neck, not even blinking. I did nothing wrong. Why should I admit fault? It's all that Fox's fault for seducing my father. If it weren't for her, my mother wouldn't have left. She deserves to die. And so do you. Imo pointed at the crowd behind me. All of you women in the harem deserve to die. Rebellious son. The Emperor stood on the steps, his eyes bloodshot. Ruan Yuyen abandoned us father and son and walked away. Do you expect me to remain faithful to her for the rest of my life? Imo fell silent in fear. But the Emperor's anger had not yet subsided. Ruan Yuyen, you are arrogant, insolent, and pathologically jealous. Effective today, you are stripped of your title as Empress. Since you are so eager to abandon me and be with your mother, you have no place remaining in the palace. I have decided to revoke Lu Mayun's imperial surname. You shall be renamed Ruan Mayun, demoted to commoner status immediately, and banished from the palace. Father, I'm only 4 years old. The palace is my home. If you send me away, where can I go? Imo crawled to the Emperor's feet, sobbing so hard he could barely breathe. I promised mother I'd watch over you for her. I can't leave. Father, if you send me away, aren't you afraid mother will be heartbroken? You're always talking about your mother's all you care about. Have you ever given a thought to me? Your father. She abandoned us and left without a word. Yet you're the only one still hoping she'll return. Let me tell you, she won't be coming back ever. No, I don't believe it. My mother will definitely come back. Imo Yun's wailing suddenly rose to a shrill pitch, the piercing sound threatening to tear through my eardrums. The Emperor was thoroughly exasperated by the commotion. With a casual wave of his hand, Several eunuchs nearby stepped forward to drag him away. Imoyun struggled desperately, clawing and biting. And the two eunuchs were momentarily unable to get close. Eunuch Gao stole a glance at the emperor, seeing that he had turned away, showing not a shred of pity. He immediately nodded to the two young eunuchs. The young eunuchs understood instantly. They raised their hands and struck Imoyun's neck with the edge of their palms. His eyes rolled back, and he passed out. Imoyun was sent to Lin Yiyuan that very night. Out of consideration for his young age, the emperor assigned two young eunuchs to attend to his daily needs. 2 months later, the new consorts had all entered the palace. The emperor finally ceased to remain chaste for Wan Yuyan and began to frequent the harem. The new concubines came up with all sorts of entertainments, dancing under the moonlight, playing the zither in the imperial garden, and the harem once again became a lively place. Consort Rong is truly cunning. With just a little trickery, she managed to drive that child out of the palace. After autumn arrived, the capital enjoyed crisp, clear weather, and consort and invited me to stroll through the imperial garden with her. No matter how resourceful I am, nothing would have been possible without your highness's cooperation. Wan Yuyan poisoned the night pearl, causing me to miscarry. I never imagined her son would be so wicked as well. She snorted derisively. I wonder if she ever anticipated her son's fate before she left. Imperial Consort turned to look at me. You're too soft-hearted. If you ask me, we should have just killed him outright. Keeping him alive will only lead to trouble. I lowered my eyes. Killing him so easily would be too boring. Grinding him down with a slow, drawn-out torture, now that's what causes real pain. Abandoned by his birth mother and driven out of the palace by his father. I'm waiting to see if he'll still want a mother when the Empress returns. Consort studied me curiously. You have no grudge against the Empress. She's gone now. Why do you wish to kill the Crown Prince? I remained impassive. This servant has no ulterior motives. I merely wish to avenge Her Majesty. She knew I was evading the question, muttering how pointless under her breath. She turned and returned to Fanghua Palace. Time flew by, and 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. During this time, princes and princesses were born one after another in the palace. 9 years after giving birth to a son, the imperial consort was once again found to be with child that summer. The weather was sweltering. She had no appetite and had actually lost a significant amount of weight. The emperor, concerned for her, took the entire harem to Lin Yiyuan to escape the heat. By the time we had packed our belongings, the sun had already set. Chuanxi begged me to go for a walk. As soon as I reached the lotus pond, I saw 3 young eunuchs bullying a frail child. Chuanxi took a step forward, about to speak up, but I raised my hand to stop her. How dare you claim to be a prince? The current emperor's surname is Lu. What's your surname? If he's a prince, then I'm a prince too, a bastard banished from the palace. Yet you dare to strut around in front of this young master. I'll beat you to death. Beat him to death. Beat him to death. He's a thief. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been sent to this godforsaken place. If it weren't for him back then, I'd have been promoted to chief steward long ago. The 3 of them took turns punching and kicking Imoyun. He curled up into a ball, still clutching a white steamed bun tightly in his hand. Having watched enough of this spectacle, I finally shouted, "Everyone, stop this at once." The young eunuchs, upon seeing me, were so frightened they knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly. I ignored them and walked slowly toward Imoyun. He slowly raised his head. A flicker of various emotions passed through his eyes, eventually turning into 2 streams of hot tears. Mother, I miss you so much. I took Imoyun back to the courtyard. Looking at the table full of food, he ate voraciously, as if he hadn't eaten in ages. I silently observed him. He was dressed in plain cloth, though he was clearly 14. His build looked about the same as a 10-year-old boy. Eat slower, no one's going to take your food. He gave me an embarrassed smile, then turned and grabbed another meat bun. Once he had eaten more than half of the food on the table, I had the servants clear the table. He clearly wasn't full yet and looked at me with a puzzled expression. If you eat too much at once, you might get indigestion tonight. Don't worry. As long as I'm here, you won't go hungry. He lowered his head. Lost in thought, I beckoned him closer. Have you just let them bully you like this for the past 10 years? At first, they were afraid of me and didn't dare treat me too badly. But after 3 years, since Father Emperor still hadn't summoned me back to the palace, they started withholding my food. I was hungry, so I had to steal from the kitchen. When they caught me, they'd beat me like they did today. Mo Yin pouted, and tears began to fall again. Empress Consort Rong. I don't want to stay here any longer. Please take me back to the palace. I promise I'll do as you say. I looked away. It's not that I don't want to take you back. Back then, you caused a great disaster because of the Empress. Though 10 years have passed, the throne remains vacant to this day. The Emperor is still angry with your mother. What am I supposed to do? I was young and foolish back then, but I'm all grown up now. Mo Yin hesitated for a moment, as if making up his mind. A woman who abandons her husband and children like that doesn't deserve to be a mother. Father should have divorced her long ago. It's all her fault I'm in this situation. If I ever see her, I won't let her off the hook. Mo Yin's eyes quietly watched my reaction. Does he truly hate the Empress? I thought there was resentment, but it wasn't enough. He needed to suffer a little more. I sighed. Go and prepare yourself. When the time is right, I will arrange for you to see the Emperor. Whether you can return depends entirely on you. 5 days later, the Imperial Consort, on a whim, hosted a banquet on a small island in the lake. Inviting everyone from the harem to attend, the Emperor was in high spirits and drank quite a bit of plum wine. As the gathering was winding down, the Emperor accidentally slipped and lost his balance. In that critical moment, a young eunuch standing by his side lunged forward to catch him. The Emperor fell onto him, and the young eunuch let out a muffled groan. Regaining his composure, the Emperor spoke in a calm voice tinged with warmth. You've shown some quick thinking. What is your name? And where do you serve? Mo Yin slowly raised his head. Upon seeing him, the Emperor's brows instantly furrowed. Father, for the past 10 years, your son has been constantly thinking of you. Back then, I was young and did not understand right from wrong, causing you grief. Mo Yin has now realized his mistake. To see you again today is enough to make my death worthwhile. It is a pity that your son cannot show his filial piety in public. I earnestly hope that father will take good care of his health from now on. Having spoken, Mo Yin bowed deeply. The Emperor said nothing, merely gazing at him in silence. The garden fell silent. Consort and looked at me questioningly, and I gave her a slight nod to reassure her. A father and son don't hold grudges overnight. Besides, Mo Yin has admitted his fault. Please forgive him. Your Majesty. He was the one who caused your miscarriage back then. At that time, I had not yet become a mother myself, but now I understand Mo Yin's reasoning a little better. Consort and gently stroked her pregnant belly. Smiling gently, imperial offspring must not be left to fend for themselves in the outside world. I believe Mo Yin can become a capable older brother. Thank you, Your Imperial Highness. Thank you, Your Imperial Highness. Mo Yin kept kowtowing on the ground. The Emperor sighed deeply. Very well. When we leave, you may return to the palace with us. The group remained at Lianyuan until the start of autumn. Shortly after returning to the palace, Consort and gave birth to a healthy baby girl. The Emperor grew ever more fond of Consort and sending fine gifts to Fanghua Palace in a steady stream. Yet he remained steadfast in his refusal to appoint her empress. Just then, news arrived from the north. The Imperial Consort's elder brother led 1,000 men in a night raid on the Xiongnu camp. After successfully slaying the Xiongnu chieftain, they withdrew unscathed. The general of the northern frontier seized the opportunity to pursue them with his troops. and the Xiongnu forces were routed. Imperial Consort and was overjoyed, believing the Empress's throne was within her grasp. But I poured cold water on her hopes. The general of the northern frontier's achievements overshadow the sovereign. You must be careful. Imperial Consort. I laid out the evidence I had gathered before her, and her face turned pale in an instant. In my previous life, this was precisely the moment when the consort and I were locked in a bitter struggle. The emperor had long been wary of the general's household. He used me to frame the general of the northern frontier for treason. The entire general's household was executed. The consort's second prince fell ill with a mysterious disease and passed away shortly after. And the consort's power crumbled from that point on. In this life, the Empress Dowager and I have not crossed paths. The emperor surely won't accept this and will find ways to target the general's mansion. I bore him sons and daughters, yet the emperor is so heartless. I pushed the small porcelain vial toward her. The second prince may be young, but with a valiant and battle-hardened maternal grandfather. The throne is rightfully his. Tears welled in the Empress Dowager's eyes as she stared at me in disbelief. Unflinching, I curtsied and took my leave. On the way back, Chuinshi looked worried. Will the Imperial Consort really? I chuckled softly. She's always harbored resentment toward him. Faced with life and death, she'll certainly make the right choice. My prediction proved correct. Half a month later, the general of the northern frontier was ambushed on his way back to the capital. The general perished, and the crown prince's whereabouts remained unknown. At this point, my father led the civil officials in submitting another petition, imploring the emperor to appoint a crown prince at the earliest opportunity, with the imperial consort having lost the support of her maternal family. The emperor finally relented. He issued an edict proclaiming consort and as empress and naming the second prince as crown prince. Upon hearing this, Mo Yun's face turned ashen, though he no longer had to worry about food and shelter after returning to the palace. His situation was awkward, and he did not fare well. The princes and princesses of the harem, seeing he had no imperial consort, mocked him endlessly. The crown prince learned of the past between Ruan Yuyan and the empress. Once he seized power, the first person he targeted was Mo Yun. Mo Yun was beaten to a pulp by him. Fearing the crown prince might kill the little pet I kept, I secretly sent him medicine several times. That day, when I went to see him, he stopped me. Why are they bullying me like this? Is it just because I don't have a mother? I didn't hesitate for a moment. Yes, it's because of Ruan Yuyan. If Ruan Yuyan hadn't abandoned you and run off, the crown prince's throne would surely be yours. Mo Yun paused for a moment, then asked again, unwilling to accept it. Then, how can I get her to come back? She doesn't belong in this world to begin with. If you want her to come back. I pondered for a moment, then curved one side of my mouth into a smile. Perhaps if you died, she might return. The emperor had remarried, and a new candidate for crown prince had emerged. If even his own son were to die, would that mean Ruan Yuyan's mission had failed? Deep down, I had a gut feeling that if something happened to Mo Yun, she would definitely return. Mo Yun sucked in a sharp breath, then lowered his head as if he'd made a decision. 2 days later, I was sipping tea in Feni Palace. A palace made by the Empress's side rushed in frantically. Your Highness, it's terrible. The crown prince has jumped into the river. The Empress glanced at me, then calmly ordered the palace attendants to rescue him. An incense stick's worth of time later, Mo Yun was pulled from the water. After the imperial physician examined him, he confirmed that Mo Yun was unharmed, lying unconscious on the golden-threaded Nanmu bed. Mo Yun was visited by the emperor, who had come specifically to check on him. Just as he was about to leave, a woman's voice suddenly rang out. Lu Juanxi, is this how you take care of my son? Ruan Yuyan had indeed returned, watching the scene unfold before me. A smile rippled across my eyes. The show was finally about to begin. How dare you come back? Ruan Yuyan strode forward, glaring at the emperor with hatred. If I hadn't come back, you would have killed Yuner. Mo Yun, lying on the bed, seemed trapped in a nightmare, repeatedly calling out for his mother. Ruan Yuyen's expression softened as she tenderly stroked Mo Yun's face with both hands. Don't be afraid, Yuner. Mother is back. I will make them pay 1,000-fold for the wrongs they've done to you. With that, she stood up and raised her hand to strike the Empress. The Crown Prince, standing beside the Empress, grabbed her hand before she could strike, then swiftly slapped her across the face. Ruan Yuyen clutched her face and shouted harshly, "How dare you? Do you know who I am?" The second prince radiated an aura of authority, his presence commanding. "I am the Crown Prince. I would like to ask you, who are you, that you dare lay a hand on Her Majesty the Empress?" The Empress. She is the Empress. But what am I? She turned to the Emperor, her voice brimming with accusation. You abandoned me and Mo Yun, leaving for 13 long years, with such a heartless nature. What right do you have to question me? The Great Way does not need an irresponsible empress like you, nor do I need a wife like you. The Emperor flung his sleeves aside, turned, and strode away. You're not aware, are you? 11 years ago, the Emperor issued an edict stripping you of your title as Empress. You are now nothing more than a commoner, out of consideration for the fact that you are Mo Yun's birth mother. Since you've returned, you may stay in the palace for a few days. The Empress flashed a victorious smile. In a few days, I will personally escort you out of the palace. Only then did Ruan Yuyen realize the gravity of her situation. She had no influential maternal family to rely on. If she lost the Emperor's favor, she would truly be finished. Since the Emperor had not issued orders regarding her fate, the Empress could only confine her to the Magnolia Palace, adjacent to the Cold Palace. During this time, Ruan Yuyen repeatedly demanded to see the Emperor. But the Empress blocked her every time. Out of desperation, she bribed the eunuch guarding the gate and sneaked into the Hall of Mental Cultivation. According to the palace maid on night duty, the Emperor had asked for water twice that night. When Mo Yun regained consciousness and saw that only I was by his side, a hint of loneliness flashed across his face. Your mother has returned, but she has no time for you right now. Just a few days later, Ruan Yuyen had changed her name and status, becoming the highly favored consort Jing. Mo Yun struggled to go find her, but I held him down on the bed. The most important thing for you right now is to recover your health. There's plenty of time ahead. And she isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Besides, you wouldn't want her to see you like this and be heartbroken, would you? A smile touched Mo Yun's face as he took the bowl of medicine from my hand and drank it in one gulp. I gave Chuanxi a look, and she silently withdrew from the hall to send word to the Empress. It was time to act. By the time the first snow fell on the capital, Mo Yun had fully recovered. He waited day after day for Ruan Yuyen to visit him, but what he received instead was the news that Consort Jing was with child. As I copied Buddhist scriptures, Mo Yun paced back and forth around me. I was so flustered by his restlessness that I threw down my brush in frustration. Don't you understand yet? It's not Ruan Yuyen in the palace, but Consort Jing. She is already carrying the imperial heir. Your mother has abandoned you once again. This time, unusually, he did not argue back. Instead, a shadow of darkness flickered in his eyes. The next day, as Chuanxi helped me rise, she reported to me. The Crown Prince went to Consort Jing's quarters and didn't return until dawn. What was his expression like? He didn't look well. As soon as he returned, he smashed a vase in the room. I sneered inwardly. The Emperor was spending more and more time in the harem. He would even go to Consort Jing's quarters at noon just to cause a scene. Finally, one day, the Emperor coughed up blood during the morning court session and then fainted. The Emperor remained unconscious, and the Imperial Medical Bureau was at a loss. Just then, Mo Yun stepped forward. This son accuses Consort Jing of plotting to murder the Emperor. Her intentions are deserving of capital punishment. The consorts attending to the emperor all gasped in unison. Ruan Yuyan's voice unconsciously betrayed a hint of panic. You ner. What nonsense are you spouting? Your father is ill. How could this possibly have anything to do with me? The empress's piercing gaze fixed on her, and a cold sweat broke out on her forehead. The empress pointed at Mo Yun. Explain yourself in detail. To conceive a royal heir. Consort Jing went so far as to use aphrodisiac incense and hallucinogenic potions to seduce His Majesty. If this isn't an attempt to harm the emperor, then what is it? Lu Mo Yun. I am your mother. Did the empress threaten you and order you to do this? Did she? Mo Yun's gaze was distant. He didn't even glance at her. No one ordered me to do this. Everything I've done came from my own heart. You ungrateful son. I never should have given birth to you. Mo Yun lowered his head and smiled wryly. I wish you hadn't given birth to me at all. Because of you, I've suffered every hardship in the palace. I risked my life to bring you back. And yet you won't even look at me. All you care about is becoming empress. Your eyes are fixed only on wealth and glory. You have not a shred of sincerity toward me or His Majesty. I cleared my throat twice. Whether the crown prince speaks the truth or not. A search will reveal it. The empress immediately ordered a search of the palace. Before long, Eunuch Gao presented the items they had found. Among the items found were aphrodisiac incense, hallucinogenic powder, and a small porcelain vial. The imperial physician dipped his finger in it and tasted a drop. His pupils dilated instantly. Your Majesty, this is the poison that afflicted the emperor. This poison is mild yet penetrates to the bone. When mixed into food or drink, it goes completely undetected. Over time, the victim passes away unknowingly in their sleep. Ruan Yuyan finally panicked. She snatched the porcelain vial and examined it closely. No, that's not right. This isn't mine. I did use the aphrodisiac incense and the hallucinogenic powder. But they aren't lethal. Someone must be framing me. Mo Yun also realized something at that moment. He frowned in confusion. But it was too late. The Empress issued a command in a stern voice. Consort Jing has attempted to murder the Emperor. Imprison her in the Celestial Prison. The Imperial Medical Bureau tried every possible remedy. But in the end, the Emperor did not survive. He passed away in his sleep before the Spring Festival arrived. On the day the Crown Prince ascended the throne, Mo Yun was found hanged in his own chambers. At the same time, Ruan Yuyan died suddenly in the Celestial Prison. All was settled. In Sinaying Palace, the Empress Dowager hosted a banquet and invited me. At the table, she raised her cup to me solemnly. You saved me and my entire family. I will honor my promise and release you from the palace. Then, farewell. I drained the wine in my cup in one gulp. From then on, I traveled to the ends of the earth, taking in the vast and magnificent landscapes. At last, I had lived up to this second life. The story ends here. Thank you all for your companionship. See you in the next one.